You know, I'm sitting here listening to Dreams Pro, who broke this news. I mean, broke the news about LeBron James, and I'm gonna give my take, and then I'm gonna finish listening to the Dreams Pro video. But what I come to learn, and again, I want to start off with this. There's the famous saying. I'll probably get it wrong, man, because I'm been working and been doing things all day. A little bit busy, but you can fool. You can fool most of the people some of the times. God damn it, I'm butchering it. I'm butchering these phrases, but you can fool most of the people some of the time. You can't fool all of the people all of the time. So I butchered it. Trust me, I butchered it. But I think you guys know what I'm talking about. You can't fool everybody all of the time. And I look at myself as one of those people who kind of see things. I'm always one, like, when it comes to conspiracy theories and things like that. I'm not woke. I don't consider myself a woke brother, but I don't put nothing past nothing. Anything that's in the realm of possibility is there. So I say that to say this. The idea, like LeBron James and his agenda and the legenda and things like that, I often, and this is why I'm not going to relent. This is why, at the end of the day, I just will never respect the guy. He's too much of a politician. We're in this, the political climate. I don't want to talk too much about that. I'm not a political channel at all. My political views are never in one pocket or one corner of, I look at myself as somewhat enlightened and informed, But I'm not one of the guy that watches CNN all the time. I'll sit there and watch what I need to. But so that's preamble is to go. I did all that preamble to do this, to say this. Today, this whole situation to have Kevin Durant come up on his Body Game podcast. I mean, you're talking about a guy who goes on nobody's show, and he gets one of supposedly the biggest rivals or the biggest competitors in his era to come on his podcast with one former MVP from the last generation, right? Even though both of those guys can say they played against Steve Nash, Kevin Durant even played for Steve Nash, having gone to Brooklyn to personally request that it's funny because both of those guys wound up requesting white guys that have none whatsoever, no head coaching experience, get a prominent head coaching job in a big market. And the Nets are not New York's team by a long shot, but it is still a big market. It was still a high profile job, especially with stars like Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving on that team. And it's funny because I say this I say this, and I'm just gonna, this is a diversion, but I went on Mark Jackson's Instagram post where the day of Mike Brown getting the job, Mark Jackson gave himself some daily words of affirmation, right? And he made it a point to tell you that he was disappointed not even getting a look or not even getting a strong consideration. And it's clear that he has been blackballed. It really is a shame, right? So to see these two guys, they gave white coaches, two different white coaches without experience, head coach. I mean, like neither player, and I mean Nash arguably was better than Jackson. I don't give a fuck about the 2 MVPs. He was a system guy. I saw Mark Jackson go to a lot of different places and actually help teams win. I seen, I believe Mark Jackson was the better point guard and a better player than Steve Nash. Now, I don't want that to become a big point of contention. I do know that Mark Jackson is a hell of a lot better of a fucking head coach than Steve Nash. And Mark Jackson deserved that opportunity. So that's why I'm going to leave that at that, right? For the guy that said I'm playing the race card. Yeah, I'm playing the race card. Because black coaches, black guys with successful tenures like Mark Jackson don't get a second look. A lot of, because they're outspoken or whatever. With guys who, like Nash, who was completely in over his head, and we see that Redick is completely in over his head in his deal. We'll get opportunities that guys like Mark Jackson deserve and never get. So I'm gonna stick on that. I'm gonna definitely stick on that. And if anybody want to ever debate me on that, that might be the topic of my show tomorrow. To be honest, but we'll digress. The fact that LeBron James has gone up here, gotten one of his chief rivals, his chief competitors, nobody has vitriol. I'm really trying to understand this. You would never see Michael Jordan and Larry Bird or any of the sort. Right? And I get it. They came in the league where they were the media darlings. Because you know what they did, guys? They brought the league, for whatever reason, whether it be the culture shift, we were in a post-racial world. Got the 70s, you got to understand the 60s and 70s had a lot of, black folk in America had to be accepted. There was a time when a lot of NBA fans did not appreciate black players, black athletes in a sport where black players would dominate based physically on. They didn't appreciate those guys making much more money than they did. So in certain, NBA could only exist in certain markets. Basketball can only exist in certain markets. You had no. I'm trying to think. You had no presence in the Jim Crow South. You didn't have teams in Florida. You didn't have teams in, you didn't have, I guess Louisville, Kentucky, that is far enough north. Kentucky is far enough of a basketball state. And that was in the ABA. But you didn't have nothing in Memphis. You didn't have Memphis. You did have New Orleans, which is more, Texas started to get, even Texas. The Mavericks came in the 80s. The Rockets were there, but they were the San Diego Rockets for a while. Basketball was a Northeast, Midwest, West Coast type of deal. You couldn't. So I want y'all to understand that. The pro basketball did not exist in the southeastern part of the United States because that was one of the last holdout with a lot of race. And again, you had racial pockets in the rest of the country as well. So, this is me delving off in history. Remember this. You would not see Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Karl Malone, Patrick Ewing sitting there yucking it up on any type of deal, hating on guys like Dr. J, Kareem. You wouldn't do it. Number one, they had immense respect for those guys, immense admiration for those guys. Jordan wanted to go to NC State over UNC because he was a David Thompson fan. Okay? Think about that. But you would never have them doing this. And again, what's so crazy is Kevin Durant, who never played against Michael Jordan, never, if they ran into each other, I'm sure it's at these Hall of Fame and NBA Greatest 75, right? And again, for a guy like Kevin Durant to even be an active player and considered one of these guys, man. So the worst part about it is they had, and again, it's a shot. Was it the worst shot in the world? You know what? It was a bad shot because, bro, you guys do not understand lot of Kevin Durant was not old enough, I guess. LeBron James not old enough. Which LeBron James might have been old. He's fucking 9. I remember when I lost my grandmother at age 8 and how it felt. That was the first. That was the first That was the first death of one of my lineage, right? One of my parents, not even an uncle, great uncle, whatever. That was the first death of somebody in my direct line of heritage, right? And I understood the significance of that, right? So LeBron being about 8 or 9, he was about 8. Yeah, he would have been 8 in the summer of '93. Still old enough to get it. Kevin Durant a few years younger. If you guys were Jordan fans the way you say, to sit there and make cracks about him going to play baseball, just to do what? To put up, we already know LeBron's 22-year career is something that is amazing in itself. See, again, guys, I said this on AOH's live stream, the same one that Charles from Dreamers Pro broke the news to me. Like, look, all right. I said, every time you guys mention Jordan like this, every time you take shots at him, every time you feel the need to do 9-hour live streams, do these hit pieces, you just affirm that he's the standard. And it's a standard you can't reach. You have to knock him in order to obtain the level of greatness he had. You had to make him human, because what he wound up accomplishing was so superhuman. Look, there's been other great players. LeBron James is one of them. Kevin Durant is one of them. These guys they're flawed, and then you see that they're mentally flawed. Unless, this is the central part that I want to, there is no fucking doubt in my mind that the orchestrator behind all this bullshit and fuckery is one LeBron James. Him and Rich Paul, his handlers, Clutch Sports, his whole clique and crew. They sit there and act like, Kevin Durant said it. I mean, he's flat out calling himself the GOAT. And I know they'll come up with some, when Jordan was kind of drunk in a situation or whatever, saying that I'm the best, I'm the whatever, and think that equates. They'll come up with a lot of false equivalencies. Hey, Jordan said it too. Jordan did it too. But LeBron made sure to get up on a podcast with one of the biggest superstars in rap, right? His agent, his people, all of his yes men, right? I know him and Drake are beefing now, and Drake just dissed him on the track. But he made it a point to say that right out. And so it's pretty much other than that, he's always maintained a level of plausible deniability with his nefarious doings, right? This is on his podcast. He's doing this for a reason. This is his version. This is because they said The Last Dance was Jordan's podcast, which is fucking Jesus Christ, guys. It was a goddamn documentary where the footage was held for years and years and years. They did it, look, Come Fly With Me. Was that a podcast? Yes, people are going to do promotional shit. What I can't understand is if you got a situation where you got 14 years of Michael Jordan being the biggest star, one of the most famous people in the world, one of the biggest stars on the planet, up there with Michael Jackson, heavyweight champion of the world, the Pope, the president. That's what Michael Jordan was in a level of fame. For taking a sport, it wasn't even the most popular sport, and making it one of the most popular sports, arguably more popular than football. He was arguably the most popular athlete of all time. Definitely the most popular athlete post 1980. You got Pele, you got a lot of soccer stars that for American basketball, for American pro basketball, in a league that it might have failed many, many times, might have gone bankrupt many, many times, and turned it into the global entity that it is today, where these guys can make. Again, Chet Holmgren signed for $250. Paolo Banchero signed for $287. These are guys who are less than 25 years old. And these fucktards, come on, man. I'm not even gonna. It's just, the bottom line is, it's so clear that LeBron James is the orchestrator of all this fuckery, of all this vitriol, of all this stupidity. Because it is no doubt out and out fucking pitity. That you would have to leave, again, just to, why go there? Why go there? I don't give a fuck how old Kevin Durant was. What was he, 5? He was born in 88. So he'd have been 4 during the summer of 93 when James Jordan's body was drug out of a lake. Can you fucking imagine that, bro? And these guys, you fatherless pricks, this you walking stereotypes. I'm sorry that LeBron James and Kevin Durant's fathers walked out on them. But bro, this is not a normal thing, man. Fathers matter. Fathers matter. Shout out to all of those who were raised by single mothers, but fathers matter. I was lucky to have men in my life show me how to be a man. I'm gonna get off of that because, again, it's just like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? You guys cannot understand what it's like to lose a parent, period. Even if you're not close to your father, to know that he would have a demise like that would do something to you. Even if LeBron would learn. I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't know. I guess I can't relate to it. I can't relate to it. I'm not gonna go too much into my own personal history, but I can say, when the men that raised me died, I cried. I cried uncontrollably, and I'm happy that they showed me how to be men. I'm talking about I still have my father on this planet. He's one of the men that showed me how to be a man. My others are my grandfathers. Okay? But here, at the end of the day, bro, you just stop being passive aggressive. If you want to compete with the man, go out there and compete with the man. But we know what it is, God. You know your resume doesn't stack up. So you cannot attain what he's going to attain, what he obtained. You cannot obtain what we all respect him for obtaining. You will never do it. The way you tried to do it didn't work. If you tried to do it the easiest way and it still didn't work. I'm not saying it was easy to play 22. I'm not saying it was easy to score 40,000 points, 50-something thousand if you acted for the play. I'm not saying it was easy to go to 10 straight finals. 8 straight finals, sorry. 10 overall. But other guys have done that. Other guys have done a lot of the things you've done. You're one of the greats. Kevin Durant, you're one of the greats. But you guys make yourself look so goddamn petty and stupid, really ignorant when you go down this route of trying to take pop shots at Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan don't talk about you guys. And if he does, he always talks glowingly in the media. He's never taken one. That's the part that y'all don't even understand. He's never taken one shot at you motherfuckers. And because LeBron James is that goddamn insecure, y'all have to take it L. I mean, it is what it is, man. We're not gonna cry about it. It is what it is. I'm going to competitively remind motherfuckers of the facts of the matter. You guys gotta come at him. He don't even think about y'all. He don't even think about y'all. He sold his team for $3 billion. What can we do? All right, guys. Peace.